Well, Joe Biden is headed to Iowa today. The 76-year-old officially kicked off his third presidential bid at a rally in Pittsburgh Monday. And he says if he's going to beat President Trump in 2020, it's going to be through Pennsylvania. Ed O'Keefe has more on Biden's opening pitch.
Donald Trump is the only president who's decided not to represent the whole country. The president has his base. We need a president who works for all Americans.
In his first campaign rally, Biden was clear about the need for Democrats to win back Pennsylvania.
If I'm going to be able to beat Donald Trump in 2020, it's going to happen here.
In 2016, President Trump pulled off a surprising win in the state that voted for Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012.
I make no apologies. I am a union man, period.
Biden's strong support with working-class Americans and labor unions could be key to also winning back Michigan and Wisconsin, two states that went Republican in 2016.
The stock market is roaring, but you don't feel it.
On the economy, the former vice president made an emotional appeal.
There was a $2 trillion tax cut last year. Did you feel it? Did you get anything from it? Of course not. Of course not. All of it went to folks at the top.
Clearly, the president is paying attention. On Twitter, he mocked Sleepy Joe Biden and pointed out that Pittsburgh is having one of the best economic years in its history. In fact, in March, Pennsylvania's unemployment rate dipped to 3.9%, the lowest level since 1976.
And joining me now to discuss Biden in the 2020 race, CBSN political reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns. So, Caitlin, we just saw in Ed's package there, Biden's not afraid to take Trump on head on.
He's not. You're right. He's making it kind of central to his pitch. This campaign event yesterday, and I think what we'll expect from Biden is more of a general election-oriented campaign. He's kind of making the bet that these voters are seeing all of these other candidates, the most diverse set of candidates Democrats have ever seen, the largest field that they've ever seen, and making his pitch as kind of the reliable choice to go against Donald Trump. We'll see whether voters take that in the Democratic primary. That's what he has to get through first. But he's campaigning in places like Pennsylvania, obviously going to Iowa and the early states to try to show voters that he is the one that can defeat Donald Trump, because we know that's their top priority.
It is their top priority. You know, I was talking to somebody who's removed from Washington and New York, a regular voter, who said that he was very interested in Buttigieg because Buttigieg is talking about the issues. Could this backfire for Biden if he makes the focus about Trump and not something more substantive like the issues?
It's really interesting because you have Biden, who is kind of a known quantity in the Democratic Party right now, and then you have others like Mayor Pete Buttigieg and others who are trying to introduce themselves to voters. So part of that is trying to explain to voters what they would do in office and what they stand for. You have people like Elizabeth Warren, who's a known senator and has her own personal brand, but really trying to define her candidacy on policy. You have others who are talking about specific issues, climate change or gun control or other items, and others who are trying to say, call for kind of generational change that we've seen from Mayor Pete. So it'll be a very interesting contrast with all of these that we'll see on the debate stage. But Biden is certainly making the pitch that he's an Obama Democrat, that he served in the administration of a popular president, and that he wants to kind of continue that going forward.
So if Biden's going after Trump, we've got Biden's biggest opponent, I would say one of his biggest opponent, Senator Bernie Sanders, Vermont senator, on CNN yesterday, looking at the vice president's former voting record. Here's what he had to say.
I think when people take a look at my record versus Vice President Biden's record, I helped lead the fight against NAFTA. He voted for NAFTA. I helped lead the fight against PNTR with China. He voted for it. I strongly opposed the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He supported it. I voted against the war in Iraq. He voted for it. So I think what I hope, Anderson, what this campaign is about, and I got to tell you, I like Joe Biden. Joe is a friend of mine. But I think what we need to do with all of the candidates, have a issue-oriented campaign, not personal attacks, but talk about what we have done in our political lives, what we want to do as president, and how we're going to transform our economy.
All right, that's a message that lots of folks voting want to hear, but is Biden's voting record going to be a really big issue, do you think?
This is going to be such a fascinating rivalry between Bernie and Biden, given that they both served in the Senate for many, many years. They know each other really well. But in a strange way, you know, Bernie is much more reflective of where the Democratic Party is now than Biden is. So certainly these issues, you're going to see whether or not these candidates take the direction that Bernie Sanders is taking by going directly after Biden, you're going to see them draw this contrast. It's also interesting because Bernie and Biden are really the front runners in this primary so far, if we even have it. It is a fluid race, but they are seen as kind of the front runners at this point for the nomination. So you're going to see these candidates try to draw contrast not only with Trump, but with these other candidates. And I think we'll start to see people talk about Biden's record and how it matches up with the party today. But how they do it, I think, will be very interesting to watch.
And then you also see this divide with progressive Democrats and moderates and the back and forth. I want to play for you what Biden had to say. This was at a rally on wealth and minimum wage.
It's well past time that the minimum wage nationally be a minimum of $15. It's well past time. It's time to start rewarding work over wealth. Just the first step is reverse President Trump's tax cut for the very wealthy and corporations. We need to eliminate these special tax breaks in the tax code that reward special interests. Let's get rid of capital gains loopholes for multimillionaires. Warren Buffett said it best. He should not pay a lower tax rate than the secretary pays lower. That's because of capital gains.
Not exactly centrist. I mean, where exactly should Biden be hanging out? If you go too far left, you risk isolating moderates and independents.
Well, Democrats feel like a safe bet at this point is talking about the economy. And we saw in 2012, when Obama and Biden were running for re-election, that they really focused on what they called the Buffett rule, that a secretary shouldn't be paying the same amount of taxes as Warren Buffett. And so they basically wanted to make that part of their economic pitch. And you're seeing kind of this theme in the Democratic Party right now that millionaires and billionaires are kind of pariahs in the party and people who are not wanted and feel like they are not paying their fair share, Democrats feel. And so they're making this issue of economic inequality center to their pitch. So I think you'll see Biden really draw on some of the themes that they tried to put forward in the Obama administration. But on some of these other issues, I think are going to present some challenges for him, not only because of his record, but because of how people are talking about them.
Caitlin Huey-Burns, thanks for joining us, Caitlin.
Thank you.